Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to talk about just a little statement that Creative Assembly gave out a few days ago on their public Discord. So, yeah, Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs just recently announced and people are hyped, but people are also a little bit, on edge due to the fact that there's less legendary lords and the price has increased rather noticeably depending on where you're from because conversion rates are a bit weird when it comes to Steam. So let's have a little bit of a chat about this as I feel like it's important to talk about. Now keep in mind that I'm not defending Creative Assembly here. I'm also not jumping into the defense of the players. I'm going to stay strictly neutral as that's probably the best way to talk about these things. At least from a discussion point of view, it's always best to stay on the neutral ground here, and we can come to a conclusion together, or at least as close to it as possible. So Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs was recently announced, and that price for me is €24.99. I'm in a British territory, but for some reason Steam doesn't want to believe that. Now, the price has been increased if we look towards another race pack. Keep in mind, I've seen a lot of players compare it to Lord Pack prices, where really that shouldn't be the case, it should be race pack prices. But if we look towards the Rise of the Tomb Kings, that is €20. You might see discounted prices here because right now there is a sale going on for the DLCs. But yeah, €5 more, that's a 25% markup, which is kinda high in all honesty. Right now, prices are going up around the board, right? It's a recession going on. Obviously, the player base is not happy about this for usually two reasons that I've seen. One is due to conversion rates with Steam. Sometimes it's not just a 25% markup. Some countries have 50% and sometimes even higher. Again, Steam is very weird with these conversion rates. I'm not too sure why that's the case. And the other reason is because we're getting one less legendary lord, so some people are a little bit panicky thinking, well, it's less content. Which, in theory, yes and no, depending on how you look at it. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Now, the great thing is that Creative Assembly did respond. You might think that that's kinda weird for me to say, but the fact is that in most cases when some drama happens, Creative Assembly normally bury their heads. So, communication is definitely getting better, and we should celebrate that because there's still devs from other companies who will just bury their heads in the sand. But yeah, King Gobbo, one of the new community managers, a few days ago did come out with a little statement, which goes as follows. Hey everyone, we've been seeing a lot of discussion around the price of Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs, so I wanted to share here what I posted in Steam discussions, so you all had visibility too. Okay, so it's actually getting posted in other mediums, which I think is actually quite an important thing. Even though as a lowly CM, the inner workings of the business side of things are way above my head. I know for a fact that pricing decisions aren't made lightly and there's a whole load of different factors that are taken into account when making them. We have faith that what you're going to get from Forge of the Chaos Dwarfs is well worth the price, and we're going to show you as much as we can over the next few weeks to help you make the right choice for yourself when it launches. The devs have been pouring every ounce of their passion and talent into making this DLC freaking awesome, and we want you to see that. We'll also be holding a Dev AMA, so Ask Me Anything, on the Discord server in a few weeks' time, so you'll be able to ask questions, any questions you may have regarding the DLC content. Okay, so there has been a minor acknowledgement of the price rise, and they're not really going to go too much into it. The fact is, really, I don't think King Gobbo could comment on that because it's not really his department. I've seen a little bit of rage being thrown to community managers, and guys, they're community managers. They're not really the people that are going to decide if they're going to increase the price or not. By all means, be angry, but be angry at the heads of the company, not the people who, are going to be there to talk to you, right? They're trying their best to whatever their NDA says they can say. And now, I also very much doubt that they're going to be able to talk about the pricing stuff when it comes to the Dev AMA, unless someone quite high up in CA also comes down to answer one or two questions, which in all fairness, I actually believe should be the case. Having a discussion around price rises and so on, I think is quite important. And yeah, I know they're probably likely going to blame it on the recession. Keep in mind, yes, there is a recession going on, but communication is key. Creative Assembly are getting better at that. I feel like it would be better if people saw that in writing rather than, oh, here is a price rise with no context. Now, in the most honest way possible, do I think this DLC is worth the price? I haven't played yet, and that's the thing. I wouldn't be able to tell you. This isn't an NDA thing. This is I just haven't played the DLC yet. Whenever they give access, as when I can start commenting on it, right? I know a lot of people have been saying it's not worth it because of the price. We won't know that until we actually start seeing proper content thrown out. The Let's Play was actually quite good. I will be very honest about that. It looked quite interesting. There does seem to be a lot of mechanics, some reused, some new. I know some people are quite annoyed with the fact that it's only 3 legendary lords. So I think it's right now the most important thing is just to wait and see. I know a lot of people are already writing off the DLC, but we have to see if it's actually worth it or not. And this is exactly why I don't put like pre-order links in my videos. From a creator's point of view, yes, it would be great easy money to put a link up and start hyping up the DLC. And yes, I do like what I see so far, but until I can get my hands on it, no, I'm not going to do something like that. I never do it even after I've gotten my hands on the DLC. Mostly because we've been through this rodeo before. We know how easily something can get hyped up and then, you know, just go bad. Warhammer 3 is the main issue there, like the actual base game launch. But my opinion regarding the content seen so far is, yeah, it's pretty good. It's something that I am personally excited for. And yes, there is a little bit of nostalgia goggles there because I used to love the Chaos Dwarfs on the tabletop. I still do. So finally seeing them, and this is a very anticipated race, has made me quite excited. I will be very honest though, I don't like the fact that it's only 3 legendary lords. They use the excuse that more legendary heroes were asked by the community and they think so too, but I think that the wording there is just not right, considering that yes, we want legendary heroes but not at the expense of legendary lords. There is some things where I'll think yes, maybe not so many legendary lords is a kind of good thing in certain cases where a legendary hero gets a little bit more attention, but when it comes to a new race, new legendary lords I feel are quite important. This is also something that we can go back to Warhammer 2 standard, where people were angry that, you know, we only got 2 legendary lords and a half-complete roster, and, well, a mini-campaign, which was kind of fun, but the thing is, people wanted a full roster and more characters. So, when it came to Warhammer 2, we ended up getting 4 legendary lords, no mini-campaign, but a complete roster, which kind of feels like it's a little bit of a step back when you compare it to other things, especially since we had DLCs like the Twisted and the Twilight, which introduced a bunch of legendary heroes, one for each main faction, and then obviously one for the FLC faction too, so why a little bit of a step back? At least it kind of feels like it, right? My concern isn't too much about the Dwarfs in all honesty, as there wasn't really that many unique characters, barring one which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video, but it's more about the future. I think that if we do get Koresh, if we do get Ind, maybe Nippon, or any others, it would be a bit disappointing if we only had 3 legendary lords, because a brand new race is obviously something that a lot of people would be hyped for, and it would be cool to have some new characters. Now, there's obviously the excuse that when it comes to 4 legendary lords, there's always one that's played less, but when you think about it, in that case, I mean, it's Katep for the Tomb Kings for sure, and probably Aranessa, at least in my case, it's Aranessa for the Vampire Coast. Mostly because Katep is a character that should have been a legendary hero, and that could have been the great way to start it, and, you know, Aranessa should have been leading a human faction, not an undead faction. Kind of breaks immersion when you see a very important pirate, living pirate, just leading an army of undead and not like an army of living things. But let's be honest, there was also a little bit of controversy regarding Aranessa and her units, so yeah. People were hoping for a 4th legendary lord in the form of Chateau the Executioner, a character that was originally meant for Warhammer Fantasy, but was unfortunately never released during that time because, well, you know, the end times and just GW being really bad at dealing with multiple supplements at once, which is something that I mentioned a lot in videos, mostly because, yeah, Games Workshop really dropped the ball with Warhammer Fantasy, and then they decided to try and blame the fans for this series dying. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that though. But there was a statement regarding CA, I'm not sure if that's still available or they deleted it or not, that basically Games Workshop considers Chateau a Warhammer Age of Sigmar character, not a Warhammer Fantasy character. And that's why we don't have it. I know some people are quite mad at that, but you can't be mad at CA when Games Workshop are the ones that own the IP. Unfortunately, they're the ones that make the decision. If they say no Chateau, unfortunately that means no Chateau. Get mad at GW though, a lot of people should. And not just for Chateau, I mean like a multitude of reasons, so yeah. See, the thing is we can't keep slamming our heads into the wall. Now yes, you should make your displeasure vocal without attacking certain staff members. It's very important that you don't attack people who can't really make decisions, on behalf of the company I mean obviously, and yeah, keep vocal, and eventually they're going to have to talk about it. I feel like that's kind of important. I feel like really they should actually do some sort of blog just to talk about it, because we've seen other companies do it. There is solace in the fact that we're not seeing certain scummy measures being taken here. Yes, this new DLC is more expensive, but I will point you towards, say, for example, Paradox, who increased the prices of DLC that have been released like 2 years ago. Thankfully, Creative Assembly is not that stupid to make a decision like that, because that would be damning themselves, not only just the community. And lastly, I can't really comment too much about a price myself because I play Warhammer Tabletop. I know it's very different, but the thing is, you know, I waste a stupid amount of money on plastic. The DLC itself is 25 euros. 25 euros basically just gets you a box of 20 clan rats, I think. And yeah, that's not even enough for like an army. You'll need like minimum 5 boxes of clan rats, not including everything else. In conclusion, regarding the DLC, whether you like the price or not, I'd say that you're probably better off waiting until you can see some proper content and not some very edited, very heavily edited Let's Plays, as that's probably going to help you gauge exactly if you want to buy the DLC or not, if it's worth it or not, regardless of price hike or not. This should be the case for every single DLC, by the way. This is how you should look at it every time a DLC gets launched. And I really do think Creative Assembly needs to make some sort of proper statement regarding the price hike. I really think that it's very important. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I wanted to keep as neutral as possible here. Obviously, I lean towards what you guys think more, because nobody likes a price hike. Nobody likes a price hike. But, you know, I think neutrality here, until we can see what this DLC actually is, other than all the smoke and mirrors and editing, then, you know, we have to keep an open mind, I guess. But yeah, have a nice day, guys. Have a nice Sunday. I am going to go and have lunch with my family because it's Mother's Day.